Sorry. Can we restart? Can I restart? I feel like we have. I feel like we have to actually do a successful one.
We have to do a successful one. Let's start from the beginning.
Okay.
I am Decepticon. I am here to murder Earth. Here I come with my big robot hand, and I'm gonna smash it down on your Earth planet. Use it as a volleyball and shoot it into the atmosphere of space. Not that there is any atmosphere in space, but I'll fuck up your planet.
Yeah, I bet you would.
I totally would. If I could. I'd just slam dunk this motherfucker into a black hole.
How about that? Space Jam, literally. Be a nice, fun little galactic basketball game.
But it wouldn't be fun anymore. I would be the villain. I'd be like Galactus on crack. Literally.
Galactus?
Galactus?
You think Jordan would still be the greatest, like even in a galactic basketball game? Would he still be the best?
Oh, dude, he'd fucking pimp slap Galactus like right in his stupid chin.
They should have just
he wouldn't
Avengers
feel
and all
anything,
that.
but he would still be offended. He'd be like, I was a big fan of yours, Michael.
and now
and then Michael's just like, let's play some ball.
Shut up, man.
Shut up.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for.
And then Elmer Fudd was like, you're a pussy.
Your vagina. How many wabbits you got in there? Welcome everybody to the Boxcar. I'm Don. That's Greg.
That's
and
me.
We are happy to have you here as usual. We're going to try and review some content for you as we typically do. I know I was able to absorb some this week, even though I'm homeless. Greg, were you?
I was forced into content, but I was able to get content in me.
Excellent.
Yes.
Well, that's a heck of a story. So we just want to say thank you again for joining us. And I have to say, this is. I don't want to pat myself on the back too hard, but I think this is probably at least the most solid boxcar I have been able to locate since we've started doing this.
I mean,
every
it is very solid, Don. This is a true boxcar.
It was heavy.
Like this is a true, honest to God, from the railway boxcar.
I think
authentic.
It is authentic. And Railway, speaking of, it's so solid, I think this is still functional. Like, this is the first boxcar we've been in that I think could still be attached to the back end of a train and haul some product across country.
I'm amazed that you were
now.
able to get away with this, because 9
Yeah.
times out of 10, it's pretty hard to get away with something in an actual railway.
I know, and
those guys kind of like the guys who work at like railroad stations. They kind of hunt our kind down.
They keep track of their cars.
Yeah,
that's for sure
they
too.
got lists.
Mm-hmm. So
Whereas
I know.
if you go to an abandoned one, you can just grab whatever.
That's what we've been doing.
I ran into Freak a couple days ago. He was grabbing a couple boxes for himself.
Did he get that kazoo? He still owes me a freaking kazoo.
No, he gave me this big giant chunk of metal and said it's equal in its weight to a kazoo.
That's bullshit. I'm not taking that hunk of metal. I want a functioning kazoo.
All right,
it's about the sound.
I'll find him later. I mean, we're going to the free clinic tonight, so
that's where he hangs out.
It is. It's Freak at the free clinic.
It's just confusing though that he does that. I don't see how everybody does.
I don't see how you get so confused about it. I mean, he is Freak and he goes to the free clinic.
His name is Freak Linux.
But no one knows him by his last name. They just call him Freak.
Or the huge guy, right? Like he's just lingering there in the free clinic.
The bath towel could only do so much.
What's the deal with that?
He told me that before he became a paranormal investigator, he was just a beach bum in Maryland.
Wow.
And he grabbed a few towels, tied them up together, and called himself Himcules. And then he lost the pants, and he kind of had the towel on him for the last 15 years.
Wow. Well, I mean, it is his look. He owns that for sure.
That's for sure. I mean, during the summer, great.
Yeah.
Great.
It's not bad.
My God, like cover of Sears catalog, good.
Yeah, when he gets the tan going. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But as soon as winter hits,
it's gross. Ugh. Grotesque. So
you can witness the shrinkage as it happens with every declining degree.
He has varying degrees of shrinkage. It does. For sure. It's like a chapter book.
That's how I usually tell the temperature in the winter. I just go, "Hey, Freak, can you open your towel?" Oh, it's 15 degrees outside right now.
The old trouser temperature.
Are you Fahrenheit or Celsius? He goes by Fahrenheit.
Does he?
So he does.
Good guy. It's patriotism. That's loyalty right there. I like that. Good job, freak. You can keep the kazoo. You can keep it.
You know, I gotta say, I like the guy. I know you've got a thing against him, but I like him. He's our only friend that hasn't tried to murder us.
Well, it's because he communes with the dead, and because if he murdered us, he knows that we would just be bothering him for eternity.
Oh, we know that BB is with us.
Is she still here? You think she's lingering in this new boxcar?
He said that she's haunting us forever, so she's kind of entwined to both of us whenever we're in contact. So she's probably here right now. What's up, baby? What's going on, babe? See, you hear that?
Ah, jeez.
That's her soul stringing for us.
That's just, well, disconcerting, but I mean,
Sweet.
I guess I'll...
Thank you, BB.
Yeah, you guys are cool, I guess. All right, so you said you were forced into some content this week. How'd that go?
Yeah, so this was interesting.
Enjoyably forcible?
Más y menos, as the Spaniards would say. So
That they would.
I was hanging out in Grant Park 3 days ago, and I was just doing my normal thing. Had my cup, asking for some change, doing some dances, doing some flips, trying to make it a couple extra bucks.
Sure.
When all of a sudden, I'm just chilling. I'm sleeping on a bench when someone wrapped a bag over my head.
What?
And I was kidnapped. I was taken.
Not a plastic bag, like a cloth bag?
Like a sandbag.
Okay.
But without the sand.
Okay.
Thank God.
Yeah, really.
That would have sucked.
Just grit in your teeth.
Ugh. Like, imagine a full sandbag. How can you breathe?
You can't.
So, I'm probably spending 15 minutes just I'm accepting death at this point.
So did they throw you in a car, or did they just, were you just sitting on the bench with a cloth
I felt
bag?
like it was a van. It was very big, and there were no seatbelts, so I kind of rattled around like a dog.
Mm-hmm.
When finally I felt the van stop, and they ripped the bag off, and it's a bunch of KKK members.
Whoa.
Yeah, in robe. No, I couldn't recognize any of their faces. There was no skin shown. Most likely white, but no skin shown.
You would think, yeah.
And in the middle of the van is a CRTV, a PlayStation 4,
Whoa.
and a portable battery.
Damn.
And they hand me a controller, and they say, "What do you think of the Nazi Party?" And I went, I mean, I think they're kind of gay, but not in an offensive way, because I like gay people, but Nazis are gay. And they're like, "Well, how about this?" And they turn on the PlayStation, and it's Wolfenstein: The New Order.
Oh,
and
fun.
I was weird at first because I was like, "You didn't buy the new one? Wolfenstein 2 is out now. Why are we playing the first? I played the first one, man."
Right.
Went,
you don't want to go back.
Silence. You will play this.
That's what they said to you?
Mm-hmm. So I'm like, all right, well, let's go. And I played Wolfenstein: The New Order again.
Ooh. Okay.
So, for those who don't know, Wolfenstein: The New Order is the Bethesda revival of the Wolfenstein franchise. That is a big, dumb, campy adventure of you playing as Sergeant Blazkowicz murdering neo-Nazis.
Ooh, fun.
And it's in a weird steampunk universe where the Nazis won the war.
Mm-hmm.
There was an accident that happens at the beginning of the game where you're storming the Normandy. You get to this stronghold, and you fail your mission because the Nazis have gotten their hands on some pretty big tech, super advanced for the 40s. And Blazkowicz is kind of put into a half coma.
Sure.
He's hanging out in a mental ward for I think it was a decade, and he meets this lady there, his nurse. She's super sweet.
Nice.
Hottie.
Nice.
She's got a big butt. She's
Hell
got
yeah.
that cute Polish accent.
I like it.
And when the Nazis attack them, he goes full frontal. He remembers his patriotism. He
Oh.
remembers his training.
Yeah, he does.
He goes on a full murder rampage. Saves her. Couldn't save her parents, though, which sucks because he's like, man, they did so much for me.
Yeah.
I was pooping in diapers.
That's nice.
And
of them.
you rejoin the resistance group that you were a member of to murder the Nazis.
I bet that's satisfying.
And it's I love the new Wolfenstein a lot. I was never a fan of any Wolfenstein game before. Not the original, none of the ones that came out. I know there was one that came out on PS3 that I thought was stanky.
Oh yeah, that bad.
It was really stanky.
Eek.
It tried to do what old Wolfenstein and Doom did, but failed at it. It just wasn't fun. It was pretty miserable. But then this game comes back and it's like, whoa, it's so fun and campy and everything is like, everyone is overly buff and fucking cool. And one of your members is this crippled former German soldier who's got like a mecha wheelchair, and you go into her room at like the resistance camp. She's got this bombshell lady sitting on her wall because I think she's into ladies.
Probably.
And she's just lifting weights.
Oh.
Hello, Blashkovich. How are you doing today?
Nice to see you.
It is good to see you again.
There's a real Nazi party right there.
Yeah.
That's the kind of Nazi party I want to be at.
One member is a former Nazi soldier whose his son was murdered because he was born with a clubfoot.
Oh.
So he was like, I'm going to murder every Nazi I come into contact with.
Damn right.
It's this over-the-topness that makes it so wonderful. But my problem going back to this game, and it's good that I did, because I do want to play the new Wolfenstein. I really want to play it.
Yeah.
My problem going back to this is I keep comparing it to Doom.
Yeah.
Like I did as a kid.
It's a first-person shooter?
Not only that, but like, so did you ever play the original Wolfenstein and the original Doom?
Nope.
I played both, but I have way fonder memories of playing Doom as a kid, because Doom just kind of did what everything that Wolfenstein did. Like, Wolfenstein was the precursor, and then Doom just made everything about Wolfenstein better.
I did play Doom as a kid on a PC, and that is one of my first... Not one of my first video game memories, but one of my first computer game memories for sure. I still remember the codes to the PC Doom.
So do I.
God mode, IDDQD, and unlimited ammo, IDKFA.
The big fucking gun. I would use every cheat code so I can use the BFG and just blow everything to pieces.
Yeah, man.
I played the new Doom not too long ago that came out in 2016, and fuck, that game is glorious.
Really?
The 2016 Doom... Bethesda's Doom might be one of the best first-person shooter games I've played in my life.
Wow, I really got to get on that.
I adore the new Doom. Everything about it. From the character of Doom guy, it gets the entire essence of the original games, but keeping it modern, and new, and fresh.
Yeah, you all right there?
Excuse me. Yeah, I... To appease my hunger, I've been eating a lot of slime that I've seen growing on the sides of this boxcar. I mean, it's pretty new, but like there's still of course some grease, and I'm a hungry boy.
Yeah, I know.
I'm a hungry boy.
But if it's on the side of rail cars, you really should avoid eating that.
It's salty, though. It's good. The body craves salt.
Yeah, I guess it does.
It craves water more, but it really wants salt.
I think it's what is it on the side? Is it just slime? Is it oil?
I want to say it's a little from column A and a little from column B.
Okay. So 2 questions. Why were the KKK forcing you to play Wolfenstein?
So they felt that the new Wolfenstein was like attacking their cause.
Uh-huh.
And the first thing I said was, "You think?"
You didn't say, "Oh, KKK."
No, I didn't.
You should have.
I should have. Damn it. I didn't think of that.
Don't worry about it.
I was too concerned about finding the collectibles in Wolfenstein.
Well, you could have been in a worse situation when the KKK kidnaps you.
That's true. But the entire time they were like, "Don't you feel bad about murdering these people?" And I went, "No, not really." Because, I mean, they're bad people.
Yeah.
They are well established as bad people in this game.
True.
In every way. B, and I burped in his face.
Wow.
I got really offended.
Cool.
It was a lot stronger than that.
Yeah,
that was kind of a wimpy.
Little
I mean,
bit weak.
sorry, there's not a whole lot of slime in this body right
It's
now.
all right. We're gonna find some other stuff once we're finished up here. But
they kept saying like, "Don't you feel bad at this representation?" I'm like, no, because again, everyone in this game is an asshole, and also it's a video game.
Mm-hmm.
It's not real people. It's a video game.
Right, exactly. You do bring up a good point, though, about, like, when you mentioned the Nazi party, I was just thinking about, like, the only Nazi party I was ever at, And,
was it a barbecue?
No. Thankfully it was not. There was no food.
Yeah, because that's how they rope you in.
But, there was a lot of, there were a lot of, disco lights. There was a lot of high, BPM music. Just,
lots of ABBA.
And
ABBA remixes.
Lots of ABBA remixes. Lots of shirtless dudes, blondes, blue-eyed. And they're all just kind of running around and, it's... Yeah, how are you doing? Yeah, let's have some fun together. We are all Nazis. We are all gay. Yeah,
that's how they roped you in. They're like, we're having such a good time, yeah.
Yeah, and
we're having so much fun.
Come
closer. And then all of a sudden they're like, they whisper and they get real close and like, don't you hate the Jews? Don't you hate how they are money grubbing pieces of shit?
Right, and this is all while we're on ecstasy and while the music is just going. So I'm kind of just nodding along and going with it. And then I didn't really realize how fucked up it was until a few days later. But yeah, so for a long time I was thinking the Nazi party was referring to that party or this mobile traveling troupe of partiers.
It seemed like it was just a movement.
Hey, tonight, the Nazi party is over at 5th and Western, and it's just
Them
shit,
crazy
I want to go.
Nazis,
Yeah.
They're dancing.
Yeah, let's everyone have fun and party together. Okay, boom, 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 and it's just that seemed like fun. So everyone's talking about the Nazi party and all this negativity, and it really took me a long time to kind of piece everything together and get off of ecstasy and stuff.
Was it eventually when someone whispered in your ear, I hate black people?
No, that didn't do it either. It was
damn. I gotta say, Don, you're a stone wall when it comes to opinions. Sometimes
I can be a little obtuse. I think
you could be rounded.
I am very rounded. You can see from my midsection here.
Well, no, I wouldn't say that's round. I'd say that's more what's the opposite of expand?
Implode.
Inspand?
Implode.
Sure. You look like you're imploding. I can see your spine from your rib cage.
Well, I'm kind of going for that Christian Bale in The Machinist look. If you ever saw that, he's doing this thing where he kind of puts his arms out to his sides and he just moves side to side and you can see the spine just peeking through his stomach. Yeah. I thought that was sexy. So I have been trying to I've been going for this look for a long time.
Uh-huh.
And
I gotta say, you're pulling it off. It looks like you've been working on it for a while.
Thank you. Yeah. If you notice, when we go out to eat, you're the only one who's eating. When we find stuff, I haven't been eating for a long time.
Well, you always bitch and moan oh man, I'm so hungry, but then you don't eat anything. I give you plates.
I know you do.
I give you plates of roaches that I find. I'm like, man, they're crunchy.
This is all part of the whole. I'm playing a mental game with myself. I want to allow myself to complain about the hunger because it's always there. It's pervasive. But giving voice to it almost takes away the burden a little bit. And then I'm not putting anything in my tum-tum so as to interfere with my dream of having the spine just, protrude through the front.
That's true. Well, speaking of mental games, they dunked a bunch of water in my head, too.
Oh, the Nazi, the
KKK members.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, if you don't agree with our opinion on this, we'll come by next week and make you play the new Wolfenstein.
Are you hoping they're going to come?
Oh no,
I disagree.
I hate Nazis.
Yeah.
I think they stinky.
Did they offer you any KK cake?
No, unfortunately, they didn't offer any food. They did give me this fun badge.
Oh yeah, I see that. Look at that. What does it say?
It says, let's see, Ku Klux Klan official sub member. And it's got the black power fist, but it's white, and it also has hate spelled in it in German. The A with the two dots on top of it, so it becomes hate.
The umlaut. Yeah. Yeah, you're going to want to...
what about my umlaut?
Just that it's protruding.
Thank you.
You're probably going to want to take that off once we get outside the boxcar.
Yeah, I didn't really pay attention to it. I just thought it was cool that I had a new badge.
It is shiny.
That I had to give my pants to Freak.
It is shiny. Oh, yeah. You should give that to Freak. Next time, keep it, and then you can use that as a barter next time he comes by.
That's true. Yeah, I'll see him at the free clinic.
Yeah, you will. So anyway, yeah, I do sometimes pine for those days of the Nazi parties, though. I have flashbacks, like acid flashbacks, kind of like those days. And
Just
it's
the bright lights, the ecstasy, the good music.
Yeah, we are having so much fun. You're the best. We all love each other, yeah.
We are holding hands right now.
Let's-
I'm holding hands with Hans.
Let's all help each other achieve each other's dreams. Let's do this.
And that's when they all get into a circle jerk, right?
usually. But the thing about a circle jerk is that it's like you got like 6, 7 guys, and if one dude doesn't have a boner, it's
then
like,
you know who's not the Nazi.
I mean, I guess, but or they just have like erectile dysfunction, and it kind of just takes the mood out of the whole thing. In order for a
in those
circle
cases,
jerk
don't
to
you?
work,
If they're looking for perfection, wouldn't they just murder that guy? Like, your penis cannot stand for attention.
right?
They cannot stand. They cannot do the Zikyle for the circle.
And we cannot stand your lack of attention right now, so you are going to die now, yeah.
Yeah, usually
They
that's how it
usually
goes.
strangle them with the glow sticks.
True, and then they'll achieve an erection often.
Well, you know what? At
Autoerotic.
least they know their kinks.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
But the first Wolfenstein game, it was good.
Liked it.
The problem is because I've played the new Doom, it's just better as a first-person shooter. And plus, I've always liked Doom more than Wolfenstein. Like, the comicalness of Wolfenstein and murdering Nazis is really fun, but I'm just kind of like so done with it. Like, it's been done to death for years. Just every World War II shooter and stuff like that. I'm like,
Sure.
like, it's cool and all. I do want to play the new one because I heard it's more campier, and if it fixes a lot of the problems that the first game had, that Doom just kind of went, fuck that. You're gonna murder things because murdering things is what you should do in a first-person shooter.
What you should do. Yeah, it is.
You know what? I just want to play the new Doom again
I guess so. That's what it sounds like.
because it's so much better.
Speaking of,
Speaking of Doom,
Doom, sounds kind of like it. The content that I absorbed this week, if I may transition,
please.
is an HBO show, which I was able to absorb by parking on a metro train. And when I say parking, I mean my body. I just posted up.
Oh, were you actually enacting your plan for getting rid of your limbs to eat?
I was a dry run. Yes, I was. You know, I do that thing where I just
You kind of just lie down on. Ooh. Oh God, your protruding spine.
and then I dislocate both my shoulders so that my arms can fold behind me, and then
Please stop describing this so our audience has no idea what's happening.
I fold my legs back, and I'm just a human box.
Oh God.
Excuse me.
Dude, you looked like you were a beach chair.
Yeah, no, it was. It's horrible. But then I become like a human box, just like a square torso, and it allows me to slide neatly into like one of those overhead luggage bins on a metro car.
Oh.
So I sat there for like 3 days, right? And so what happened was someone left, like they got off the train, and in the seat right below me, this little bench, it was a lady and her kid, and the lady and the kid each had a tablet. It's like the lady had like an iPad and the kid had like some Android tablet. And I'm looking down, just with moving my eyes because I can't move anything else in there.
Yeah.
And I'm looking down, and I notice as they got off that the kid, he was like 2 or 3, he left his tablet. And they left the train, and conductor's walking by. Nobody's making a move to grab the thing. So I momentarily unfolded my right arm, slid that on down, grabbed the tablet, and moved it back up into the bin, and then closed the door. So I had this tablet, which had HBO Go on it. Luckily for me.
Shit.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, what do I...
It's so good that you're very flexible, Don.
Yeah,
Both in your scheduling and your body.
I try to, to go with the flow whenever I can. I feel like it's just better for me. So I log into the tablet. I'm like cruising through HBO's, programming. And I'm like, well, what am I in the mood for? And I came across one of their new original shows called The Deuce. And The Deuce, is that
the show with Bigelow, the European gigolo?
Well, not that Deuce. This is this Deuce refers to a stretch of road in New York, in like, I don't know if it's Brooklyn or Harlem, but it's in the 70s, and it's basically like on the front end of like the porn revolution. So you've got James Franco playing a pair of twin brothers. You've got Maggie Gyllenhaal, who's a prostitute there without a pimp, and her and some of her girls are like working on the stretch.
Maggie Gyllenhaal probably has a very hard time trying to find guys.
I gotta say, there's a lot of like nudity with her. One of my big problems with the show is that like I'm not a Maggie Gyllenhaal fan. I think she does a great New York accent.
Just to say, but like I think Maggie Gyllenhaal is very unattractive.
She has a face kind of like a bloodhound,
she's got those saggy jowls.
Yeah, it's definitely like a Disney dog look to her. I feel bad, but when in
she
Dark
looks
Knight,
like she's in for the call for the 101 Dalmatians.
Yeah, in Dark Knight, when Christian Bale, when she replaced Rachel,
Tom Cruise's ex-wife.
Yeah, Katie Holmes. When she replaced Katie Holmes in Dark Knight as Rachel, and you got Christian Bale, stroking her face and like pretending that they're all in love.
And you watch his fingertips go over all three wrinkle holes.
Every crevasse in that face.
Did you know that Christopher Nolan actually had to bring a dry towelette and get inside the creases every few hours? Because if sweat stays in there, you get there's an infection.
Oh, no. I never knew that. But I could believe it.
I learned that from Pets 101.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I will say it's kind of like...
Not to say that Maggie Gyllenhaal has a dog face, but she's got a dog face.
Yeah, and those lines, I mean, it's kind of like, it's like the Grand Canyon. They're so deep, and like she does a great New York accent, and she is a good actor, but there's so much, she's a prostitute, and there's all this nudity with her body, and it's like, it's really a turnoff. Thankfully, there's a lot of other like hot chicks in the show and a lot of other like sex scenes where it just kind of you're able to throw yourself into those and kind of forget about dog face. Anyway, so she's probably my problem with the show, but the rest of it I really, really like. It's the David Simon, the creator of The Wire on HBO, also another good program. So they have this narrative style where you got all these great characters in a universe where it's like, what he does very well is it's kind of like in Game of Thrones where there aren't heroes and villains and they're just all good and all bad. David Simon has a good way of creating a universe where all the characters are gray, like the real world. Good people will do bad things and bad people will do good things. And it's because it makes it feel more real and you get
characters
more
are more
engaged.
Self-interested in then being like for the greater good or the greater evil.
Yeah, and it makes them three-dimensional. It's more like they choose what to do or what action to take based on the motivation or the scene. Right. It's like, hey, in this plot line, normally this cop is always by the book, but at this time, he's in love with this prostitute, so he's going to bend the rules at this time or whatever. And it's like, that's a bad thing. This guy's otherwise very good, but he does a bad thing for this reason. Mm-hmm. Those are the kind of characters that you get with like David Simon shows, and this kind of follows that trend. It's very engaging. Maggie Gyllenhaal's one problem. The other problem I have is that there are a few... It could be more well acted. The acting in the show could be better. I think that there's like, when they read these lines, there's a few scenes where you're just watching it and the payoff that you want, that you feel like it's heading toward, it's like everyone's holding their breath just waiting for that scene to end. And that like, okay, this is going somewhere, but like we all just want it to get there and move on.
That's a shame if it's got such an interesting setting and world.
It does. And there's there are cameos in it, and what I like most of all, I think, are is the look and the feel of the show. They do a great job of making New York look like old timey, like in the 70s. I don't know if it's the film or the lighting that they choose, but it's just it's very, makes me think. It reminds me of like Dick Tracy, that movie. It's got like almost a comic book blended with reality feel. The lighting, it's a little surreal. It gives you a feeling like something fantastic could happen,
Would
even
you
though
say
it's
it's
not
like does it have like a saturation to it where like colors pop out?
Yes, yes, definitely. And the soundtrack that they use is all 70s, like funk, and it's
Ooh.
the opening theme is
Got that Motown.
yeah. You know what I mean? It's fun. It's just it's a fun show to watch. It's pretty cool. But then it's also, I mean, it can be so dark because you're talking about like you're dealing with themes of like pimps and prostitutes, and there's this writer character. She's a female who's reporting, and she's going to school, but she traveled to this area of New York specifically because she doesn't understand why these women are choosing to be prostitutes, and moreover, why they're accepting of
What is
pimps.
she? Is she going down to the red light districts and just seeing all the prostitutes be like, "Stop doing this"?
Well, she more like interviews them and tries to kind of be like, hey, like, let me buy you some food, and why don't you tell me about your day? And then she'll witness their pimp come up and be just, hey, bitch, I tell you could sit down. Come on, get out there, work that ass. You know what I mean? It's like they'll do that. They do that kind of stuff. And she witnesses it, and she's just like, the pimp will leave. And when she talks to that woman next, it's like, why do you put up with this? And that is one of the many like questions the show seems to like address or deal with, at least with the characters, is that they kind of they poke and they fixate right on this notion of truly like, why, if you were a prostitute, you almost wonder like, why would you want a pimp? What is it about that? It's like they don't seem to offer you anything except like negativity, criticism, smacking around, and then they take a cut of your money. And it's like, what?
Does it focus on like there would be like a scene of like her about to get abused, and then the pimp comes in and beats the shit out of this dude? and helps
Not
her up?
yet, but I see what you're saying, and I do feel like that would be what the perceived benefit of having a pimp is. It's safety, it's regulation. If some John tries to screw you over, the pimp can go get the money that you're owed and smack the guy around so it doesn't happen again. Kind of like, having an agent, or being in a union or something.
Except with a big fuzzy hat.
And with titties.
Most of my pimps didn't have tits.
Well, you're missing out.
Damn.
So
Yeah.
that's what I've been watching.
That sounds quite enjoyable. And you say this is on HBO
It
Go.
is on HBO Go, their app, and it's on HBO just on demand. It airs Sunday nights, and I believe they've aired 7 episodes thus far, and I think it's probably like typical of HBO shows, a 10 episode season. So I think that there's still 2 or 3 episodes left to go in this inaugural season.
I'm starting to like these HBO/Netflix style shows where they go for fewer episodes because it just seems so much stronger.
And it allows you to have greater episode length. Like, you think about it, before a TV show might run for 20 or 30 episodes a season, and it would be half an hour, 22 minutes with commercial times and breaks gone into it. With HBO and with Netflix now, you have 10 episodes a season, but all those episodes are between 40 minutes and an hour long, The premiere of The Deuce was an hour and 20 minutes. It's like an 85-minute episode or something. Yeah, it is. And that's why they say this is kind of the I think they call it the platinum age of TV right now. It's because we've already had the golden age or whatever, but they say that there is so much, not just content on TV. It's not just that they're putting out so much stuff. It's so much good stuff. I mean, how many people are telling you every day of a new show that you need to watch because there's just new shows coming out?
Yeah, and it's less network. It's more streaming stuff where you are given a lot more freedom in the content that you actually make. I just like that a lot of them are going shorter because they realize the longer your show goes and when you have these hours long, you can fuck it up. Fast.
Definitely.
I mean, case in point, look at all the Marvel TV shows. They've just been steadily going downhill.
Although I have to say, I haven't seen any of it, but I'm curious to watch both Legion on FX, an X-Men show, and The Gifted, which I believe just came out on Fox, and that's still in its first season right now. Both of them, X-Men I still feel like is the strongest group of mutant, of just not just mutants, of like Marvel heroes, because there's so much there's so much there's so much struggle and plot points and like intriguing, engaging struggles that I think
there's
people
a lot
can
of
relate to.
fascinating characters that work well with each other. Because
Mm-hmm.
the whole point of the X-Men is a team,
Right.
friends,
Yeah.
working together.
Mm-hmm.
But also when you make these shows, like because of how mutation works, you can just make your own
Oh yeah.
and come up with your own characters, and it just adds to the world.
True, and that's the fun part about like you think about other heroes. You know, you get Thor, you get Hulk, you get Ant-Man and stuff, and these people are involved in an accident, a one-time thing. The Flash, you know, the Batman with his motivation, Superman, and all this. These people are heroes because they are outliers. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like they are one time off. Like there's no other people like them, you know, except like their counterpart villain maybe. In X-Men,
Unless someone else also has a freezing mutagen, or they can also turn into a hardened skin.
Yeah.
Like someone made a joke. Oh, it was that show My Hero Academia that I watched.
Yeah.
A joke of it is one of the main characters from the main classroom. His superpower is hardening, so he can turn his whole body into carbon, like a very hard carbon.
Colossus style. Yeah.
Yeah. When they have a school competition, there's a kid who can do the same thing, but his body turns to steel.
Oh.
And the joke is they literally have the same exact powers and they have the same personality. So it's a lot of stuff of like, all right, these guys are exactly the same.
Right.
I know DC did a great job of that with what is it, Plastic Man and the Elastic Man.
Oh, Mr. Fantastic.
No.
Oh,
I'm
no,
talking
that would
DC.
be Marvel, right? Plastic Man is DC, yeah.
Plastic Man, and there is another Elastic superhero in
Interesting.
DC, and I can't remember his name.
But they made
They
that
have the
comparison.
same exact powers in every way.
Wow.
Their whole body is elastic. They are exactly the same. The only difference is their appearance. So Plastic Man is, you know, in that classic red like Speedo. The other guy, I think he's just like the Elastic Man, is in like a purple jumpsuit.
Mm-hmm.
But when you put the two of them together, like they just argue because they're like, we have the same power,
Right.
but I'm better at it.
I'm better than you.
I'm better than you. Those times when shows like that can do that,
For sure. But my thing was that it's like with X-Men, the fun thing is that, like you said, it's a world of mutants.
Yeah.
So if you're ever bored with the group of typical X-Men,
just make a new one.
all of a sudden you got a new mutant who comes into the mix, and this guy's fun because this is his power, you know?
This guy's nipples turn into horns.
can cut some diamonds with them things.
He just tackles into everything. Yeah. He just pokes your eye out.
Ow.
Dang.
Speaking of Platinum Age of TV and shows, the new season of Stranger Things is out now.
Ooh.
I loved the first season. Thought it was,
too.
you know, something just. It seemed to kind of take the world by storm. Definitely, prompting Netflix to raise its prices for the first time since they jumped around, like making all this original new content.
Them Duffer Brothers are getting that second season. I tell you what.
But yeah, I'm very. I started watching the first episode last night, and I ended up falling asleep just because I was wiped. But it's a show that certainly grabs, and it looks like they've maintained the feeling of the first season, and I really cannot wait to dive into this.
Well, I'll tell you, Don. So after I was thrown out of that van with those KKK members, I crash landed into a Best Buy.
Oh.
And sure enough, there it was on the TV. Just Stranger Things playing. First episode, right from the start.
You just park it and start watching it?
I sat down in Indian style. I picked the glass out of my arms and my face. And the security guy just walked over and he was like, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" And I went, shh.
Have a Band-Aid. You want a Band-Aid, man?
Shh. Stranger Things is on. And we watched it together.
He sat down next to you?
Mm-hmm.
What's the show about, man?
It's about spooky things. Like, you could say they're strange, but a step above strange. Not the strangest, but like that middle ground of strange and strangest.
Stranger?
Yeah. And there are things.
Stranger Things?
Yeah.
That's why they call it that?
That's why they call it that, because there are stranger things in this. And we sat there and we watched it and enjoyed ourselves for the first 2 episodes so far.
Okay.
And very much in line with the first season. The feel of it being set in the 80s, there's no denying it, but this time it's not so much in your face as much, except when the main 4 kids dress up as the Ghostbusters for Halloween.
Excellent.
But other than that, it's never in your face to be like, we're in the 80s!
This is 80s now, yeah.
Wait, no, that's a lie. No, it does it a lot.
Dang it.
Because like it does cuts of the town, and people are talking about, ooh, look at this latest fashion thing.
Oh,
and
really?
then it cuts to the theater, and it goes, now playing The Terminator.
I was just yeah, sure.
And,
some reference of pop culture from back then.
There's a scene later where they're watching TV and they're just flipping the channel, and then the actual original trailer for The Terminator comes up. Remember those classic like 80s and 90s trailers? Coming this fall. Coming this weekend. It's The Terminator. Watch Arnold Schwarzenegger bulge his way into a room.
Get down now.
Watch as he murders bikers.
You have to ride on the sidewalk.
Ah!
Stop it.
The Terminator.
I'll be back. Maybe.
Coming to fill your insides.
Yeah, those trailers were strange.
I wouldn't say they're strange, but like a step above it.
Yeah.
Not strangest.
Not familiar to you.
No.
Yeah.
It's unfamiliar doohickeys.
A little goofier, a little less familiar than typical stuff.
Yeah.
Speaking of Arnold, you know what weirds me out about him? You remember a couple of years ago when it came out that he
had an illegitimate love child with a maid.
With the maid.
Yeah.
It was a maid, and then they like you see like video of or hear audio of her, and you'd see like clips of her and stuff, and it's just like, you know, she a maid, not English, not her first language either, you know, like pretty heavily in Spanish, and I couldn't help but wonder, like, imagine what Arnold was like trying to. You all right there?
It's fine. I just I knocked over my antique can here.
Yeah.
It's something that I picked up from a antique store while I left when I was promptly kicked out of Best Buy after watching the second episode of Stranger Things.
It does look antique.
I got to tell you though, when I lick the top, I can taste the freedom.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Of this gun craft.
So anyway, Arnold, imagine the nights when he's at his hotel or wherever, and the maid is
stripping for him.
Housekeeping. Like she just comes in and she's...
Housekeeping, you want towel?
Yeah, exactly.
Housekeeping, you want me to jerk you off?
Yes, come closer. Why don't you come over here?
And then, you know, it's... So I couldn't help but imagine, like, what do you think that looked like? What do you think that sounded like? Arnold hitting on his maid who speaks like... They both speak barely, you know... They both have accents.
I like the way you shake your ass when you are cleaning my windows.
I was more thinking like...
Gracias, Senor Schwarzenegger.
Why don't you bring those shoes over closer to me here?
I do not understand you, Senor Schwarzenegger.
Last time you came in here, you threw away 6 of my cigars. They only make these cigars for me. You cannot be disposing of them.
Ooh, they were stinky. I threw them away.
You need to listen to me now. You need to listen to me.
Hush your big, lush lips,
What are
Senor Schwarzenegger.
Why are you are touching me so close now?
I am touching your well-chiseled face, Senor.
You're reaching for my pee-pee. Why are you reaching for my pee-pee?
I'm gonna stop.
It got, you know,
it got muy caliente that night.
That's my point. I'm like, imagine how goofy that must have looked. That's how I picture it happening. That's how I picture Schwarzenegger, you know.
Do you want me to terminate your insides?
Do you want me to terminate your single life forever? Do you want me to terminate your girlish figure?
and she's just, I'm just trying to polish the candlesticks.
No, come here.
No, come now. I'm telling you to come now.
Because I'm so close.
We just started.
I'm so close. Ah!
Yeah, that is what I imagine the night of Arnold's illegitimate son's conception was like. That is how I picture it. Yeah.
They apparently kept at it for a while.
Hey, remember the other night when you came in here and we did that thing? You want to do it again?
No, I'm still recovering from the bruises. You have very strong grips, Senor Schwarzenegger.
This time it's because I fought the predator with my bare hands. I can't stop.
That was a man in a costume. You know that, Senor Schwarzenegger.
No, here it's real. I don't know what they do in your country with the movies, but here it was real.
I'm very turned on now, Mr. Schwarzenegger.
Good, because tonight a freeze is coming.
Dude, I love that.
As in, I've been freezing my semen for years.
And I'm going to implant it into you now.
I brought my turkey baster.
I am taking all attractive sexual tension out of this, and I'm going to make it a completely biological experiment.
This is obligational.
I'm paying you. You will house my kid, which I have frozen.
I will be locking my seed into your womb cage.
I'm stopping again.
Yeah, we can stop it.
nasty.
We can stop it now. This is. There's no telling what that night was like, and nobody should ever even be picturing it. I don't know why I was even brought to think about what that must have
good question,
been like.
Don. What made you think, I wonder what happened when Arnold Schwarzenegger pounded his maid?
Loneliness. Definitely loneliness. That's the only thing that
How
would
could
make
he
me
have
think that.
loneliness?
No,
his
that's
wife
what-
is so hot.
That's what made me think of it, not what made him.
Why? Like, of all the moves that Schwarzenegger could have done, like, his wife is so fucking good looking.
And a Kennedy, right? He married into the
They'll
fucking
never
Kennedys.
shut the fuck up about it.
I know.
And you want to betray a Kennedy?
I know.
Horn dogs?
I know. Dude, yeah, that's a bad move. That's a bad move.
I would say this is a dick move there, Arnold.
Brother Bobby could get away with it, but not you.
Listen, my cousin Kevin thought you were an all right guy in Last Action Hero. But
He was
you shown your true colors.
And they are not red, white, and blue.
No, they are black and blue from the bruises of your thick fingers.
See, I can vouch for this.
So gross. Yeah.
Go play tic-tac-toe with my arm. How many times you squeezed me?
Sorry, you're just very soft.
I've been meaning to talk to you. I need to file a claim with insurance.
Can you wear gloves now?
They will not see me. I've tried to go to free clinic and they don't believe me.
I like Freak. He's a good guy.
You tell him I sent you.
I tried that. He tried
to exercise me.
he was talking about spirits.
He threw a kazoo at me, Senor Schwarzenegger. He just threw it right into my face and said, "Spirits be gone." But he did it in this freak way.
Okay. I'm going to write you a check now. Never
That's
speak of this
goddamn
again.
right you do. How dare you? How dare you offend me, the ghost of John F. Kennedy?
Mr. Kennedy, I respect you. I love what you've done for the country.
I demand 500 Hail Marys right now.
Is that the cocktail? Is that
This
a
is
certain
the
cigar?
prayer. A Catholic prayer.
I don't know.
Aren't you a Nazi boy? Wouldn't you know your Nazi prayers?
I am Conan. Conan.
You are no... Yes, that's certainly true. You are a barbarian.
How about remember when what's that one scene in Predator when him and Carl Weathers just shake hands for the first time?
Dylan, you son of a bitch.
And then it focuses and
the wet slap of their palms slapping together.
And the camera zooms in on both of their forearms and just lingers there for like a minute, and they're both flexing, and it's like,
Have you seen
So
someone's
ridiculous.
edit of the original Predator poster to make it look like it's a romantic comedy?
No, but now I really
It's
want to.
incredible. Like they changed the font to look it's like Happy Days, and it's Carl Weathers and Arnold Schwarzenegger still doing the arm hold, but you see the Predator like fading in the background with his arm on his head.
Excellent.
Warner Brothers presents Predator.
The Predator.
It's just him like hanging out in a tree.
Right.
You should have asked him out. He hates you now.
Yeah.
Boy, you are one ugly.
Fuck. Another show. I don't know why this is making me think of this now, but there's another show that is coming out to Showtime. It's a book. It's based on a book series that two chronological books in that series have come out, and then a couple of like spin-offs or short stories related to it have come out. But I believe it's just a trilogy, so I'm waiting on the third book. And it's called The Kingkiller Chronicles, and it's by Patrick Rothfuss.
Is this like one of those Game of Thrones wannabes, kind of like what Vikings was?
Well, yes, and that's exactly what all the reporters are already calling this. They're saying this is Showtime's Game of Thrones, and that bothers me because, yes, it's sci-fi or just fantasy. It's just a fantasy genre, so yes, it's the same genre as Game of Thrones, but it's a completely different storyline. Game of Thrones is
people won't see that. That's the thing. Like,
I know.
When, like, look at how Stranger Things is right now. Imagine that someone wants to make an 80s inspired
right
film right now. Or no, a better example. Look at the remake of It.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Because, Finn Wolfhard, the main kid from Stranger Things, is a main character in that, but it's also set in the 80s. And it gets nothing but comparisons in like its theming and the way it's shot and shit like that. People will always compare something to something else because it's usually around the same time.
Yeah,
as
and
well.
That's my thing.
Hot.
That's my thing, and
Horror,
you're right.
Horror is hot right now,
and that's what bothers me is that I'm like, you think about in this regard, the Game of Thrones, Kingkiller Chronicles being Showtime's Game of Thrones. I'm like, not everything has to be somebody else's something. You know, it's like Kingkiller stands completely alone on its own 2 feet. It's about this Irish folk hero named Quoth, and he talks about how he was like he was a kid traveling in a troupe of like bards and troubadours, I guess, or like performers.
That's the Irish way of saying it.
The Irish, yeah, sure. But so anyway, it's like that's kind of where the world that the Kingkiller Chronicles is set in. And I love that Showtime is adapting it. I really do. And I'm so looking forward to the series because the books are fantastic. It's Patrick Rothfuss. This is his first foray into fantasy. It's his first time writing any novels. And the first one that he wrote, the first in this series called The Name of the Wind, it came out with such a bang that, speaking of Game of Thrones, George Martin was in charge of commissioning a fantasy book of short stories. And he asked Patrick Rothfuss to write something for that book based on the one novel that he had ever done as a writer.
That's impressive.
So those are some credentials just to give you an idea of like how good this book really was.
But like, all right, so we know it's set in a medieval setting, but it's more taken in reality where it's in Ireland.
Well, I think it's more in like Ireland and London. I get the feel for it. It kind of has a bit of a Harry Potter feel to it as well, because a little bit through the book, the boy who Quoth, when he was the son of these theater people, then his whole clan, his whole troop gets massacred by somebody. Magic exists in this world, but it's not ubiquitous like Harry Potter. It's only a few people know how to use it.
Only witches and warlocks can use magic.
Right, exactly. And his ability is really his brain and his musical talent. He just kind of has talent, and that's his superpower, if anything. But the story is told from present day, and he's essentially recalling his life for a writer. He's writing his memoirs down, and he's achieved all this stuff up to now, but at this point in the books, he's like some innkeeper. So this chronicler wants to write down all his deeds. So he's telling him all these things in the past tense, and you get to hear all the achievements of his life recounting sort of as he retells them for this writer.
Yeah, that sounds vastly different than Game of Thrones, but the problem is that's how people will see it.
I know, and that's just kind of my point.
The same thing with Spartacus, but the thing was, like, Spartacus was like a Game of Thrones wannabe.
Yeah,
where it was like, yeah, we want to murder everything.
it was a Game of Thrones wannabe minus the magic and the dragons. Spartacus, the only thing
it was a Game of Thrones wannabe
sex.
without being good.
Yeah,
what Spartacus
actually,
was.
I have to tell you, I like Spartacus.
You did?
On Netflix. Dude, I'm telling you.
I hated it.
Listen, I thought the same thing you did. I watched the first, 2 episodes of Spartacus, and I fucking almost puked, and I wanted to get away from it. And I did. I stopped watching it. I'm like, this is a terrible show. I wrote it off. The script, the bad accents of the people that were portraying these.
Like, they're Greek, but they have English
Everyone
accents.
has off English accents or some Indian accent or just some exotic thing. It's like nobody is Greek. It's just everybody's everything else. But my brother, he watched Spartacus, and after he got through the second season, he convinced me to give it another shot. He insisted it gets better. Every episode of it gets better. And he was right. He was absolutely right. The Spartacus as a whole, the first episode of that whole series is the worst one. And from there, it continually improves. And by the second season, you're actually even though the bad accents and all that, it's kind of part of its charm.
Yeah.
It really is.
Doesn't that I hate doing that when I talk about shows I really, really like, and you're like, listen, the first season is terrible. You got to get over that. I'm like, I hate describing shows like that.
Well,
anymore.
and especially since we just said how long everybody's list of shows they must watch is getting. When you tell somebody that, oh yeah, you'll be fine, just push through the first season, that's motherfucker, that's 10 hours.
Yeah,
I don't want to that you're telling me to push through
something. I don't want to dedicate something that I did not enjoy at first.
That's a fair point. I will just say that. All right, maybe it's not. I think I started liking it before the end of the first season. It's and I'm sure that would vary with person to person. But my overall point is that I think Spartacus, when it came on Netflix and I actually gave it a view, I changed my mind about it, and I do think it's worth a watch. It's not a bad show.
All right. I'll check out this show. I mean, it seems interesting. I like the idea of Irish folk heroes just doing shitty things.
It is, and that's really it's some of the only exposure to Irish mythology and folklore that I even have. So the books, and
aside from American Gods, I mean,
yeah. Neil Gaiman kind of glosses over a lot of different cultures with that. And not just that. I mean, he wrote Anansi Boys, which is about African mythology. He loves Norse mythology, which is a heavy part of American Gods. Yep. He actually, the most recent thing Neil Gaiman wrote, I'm pretty sure, was not a fiction book, but it was an actual reference text for Norse mythology. He wrote a book which college courses or teachers would use as an actual educational text. So he didn't take any liberties with the fiction of those stories. He basically just wrote them down, all of Norse mythology from Vikings to Ragnarok, from front to finish to a certain point of their mythology, and he just tried to communicate it as they recorded it, as the Nords did way back when.
Badass, actually.
I would love to read it. It's the only textbook that gives me a boner.
Yeah. It's just very hard for us to come across any form of paper.
Yeah, and ones that we're not going to burn
or use as TP.
TP.
It's kind of rough.
Speaking of that, yeah, I'm sorry, I used the tail end of your shirt before we started recording to wipe my dookie.
Oh man!
You weren't looking. You were kind of fixated on your slime.
There's just there's a big tear right down the middle, right in the spine.
Well, I needed. We were going to start recording. I needed something. I was just going to pull my pants back up.
Dude, ask me next time.
Yeah, sorry.
I could have gone all day without ever noticing this.
I know. I only wanted to tell you.
Weeks.
I only wanted to tell you because I felt bad about it, and because
you should. You should.
We've been trying to be honest with each other, So, and that's another theme of King Killer Chronicles. Speaking of, is just honesty, being truthful, all that good shit. Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing that you're getting a life lesson out of it, because I'm not sure what you would have been like if you didn't watch the show. I feel like I would have just walked around like this.
Yeah. You would have. I wouldn't have said anything. And I probably would have used it again later. I would have waited for an opportunity, and I would have used the rest of your shirt until you had nothing left. Just a bunch of torn, shit-covered, straps of cloth.
I mean, at least I have BB's dress.
Yeah, you're still rocking that, and
thank you.
Still rocking it, literally.
Yeah,
it's looking good.
I know it's. I feel free in it,
and it's amazing that it fits.
It's good for squatting.
Oh, I bet.
Like, there's no constraint. I don't have to worry about a middle part. I can just keep going and going and going.
How do you compare wearing a dress to wearing pants? What do you like about it?
Pants have more functionality, and dresses have freedom.
Yeah.
I would say that's a big difference.
I have
Pants
to say,
are constraining, but they look better.
you're professional.
Yeah.
I
The dress
also-
is free form, but not a lot of people really want to give you their change when you're sitting around in a dress.
Well, definitely not. And especially, I will say for you, if you bend your knees, like if you squat and your thighs are at more than a 90-degree angle, I mean, your scrotum definitely dips into visibility. Like you can see it.
It just sinks right to the ground.
I can see it now. Like you're just sitting in front of me with this dress on, and it's BB's. It's way too short. I'm amazed that it fits the dress. I mean, it's stretched like. I mean, it's stretched like that. Those hips. I mean,
it had a lot of coverage.
Yeah, it looks like you might be losing some circulation a little bit.
I mean, yeah, my thigh is a little purple, but it's not going to kill me.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I mean, yes, I may have lost all feeling in my lower legs, but I still can walk.
Oof. Yeah, you might want to take that thing off, man. As good as it looks, and as much as anybody might like seeing your scrot out there, you should really take that off because
it's
I'm telling
fine.
you.
Just suck in the gut, just
No.
a little bit,
No.
and everything works out just fine.
It's gonna rip eventually anyway. You gotta find something else.
No, it won't. If I just do this, it will be fine.
All right. You keep that up as long as you possibly can.
I'll try.
And King Killer Chronicle. Everybody should check that out. Name of the Wind is the first book. Wise Man's Fear is the name of the second book. And everyone, myself included, is awaiting the third installment of that trilogy. Patrick Rothfuss.
You think it will take another 20 years for the book? Like George R.R. Martin?
I hope not. I think George R.R. is going to die before he finishes Game of Thrones.
I think the show will make the ending that he was supposed to put in the books, but it's kind of gotten fan fiction-y right now.
All right. So, yeah, we're going to have to get out of here soon, so otherwise that thing's going to bust. And,
God, Don, it's so tight.
Yeah, I don't want to be trying to duck that with all the ricochet and such. So we're going to get out of here. I need to get Greg his blood flowing again, get him some real clothes, and hopefully some food.
Is my fist purple?
Yes. Yeah. Breathe. Just breathe. Don't keep sucking in. Good.
Oh.
Yeah, that's ripped.
Oh, there goes the dress.
Well, we'll get you some real clothes, and we're going to have to get out of here anyway. I'm pretty sure I just heard some howling outside, so we need to vacate the premises.
Is Maggie Gyllenhaal around?
She must be. And I don't want
the
to
other reason why there would be howling.
Exactly. And I don't want to stick around and find out anyway. So we're going to get out of here. But thank you very much for joining us. As always, we will be back next week with some more content to review for you guys. And we're always appreciative of your contributions and your ears. So thank you, and we will see you next week. I'm Don.
I'm Greg.
Bye-bye.